Hey YouTube, we're back with episode 3 of Tiermakers. Today we're doing our first ever Genshin tier list. And I'm lucky to have someone who I can call a friend on the show. OhlookitsMorgan from TikTok. They're going to help us make a tier list about how friend-shaped Genshin wildlife is. As always, with the rules of the Tiermakers show, each of us will have one triple S tier override and one F tier override for the different things we're ranking. But like I said, we have Morgan on the show. They are a fantastic creator, and I'll let them introduce themselves, talk about anything they want about themselves for us to know.
Yo. My name is Morgan. It is very nice to meet you. I am a Genshin Impact content creator.
Genshin
On
Impact
TikTok.
Concrete. What would that be like? That'd be fun.
Genshin Impact Concrete Edition. I primarily make TikToks for 4-star characters and boss fights. However, I'm quite the connoisseur in friend-shaped Genshin mobs. This is going to be a very fun tier list, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, once again, thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this. This is all just for fun. But so specifically, we're dealing with the wildlife tab of the archive. So these are like things that like Aloy and Sayu stop from running away from you. But we've got a lot of great wildlife in Genshin. Too many to have every single one of them. So we don't include color variations in this list, but we do include special variations. And we're going to get right into it. We're going to start with anything in the water. First off, we're going to start with the humble fish. Has been around since the beginning of Genshin. Klee loves to fish blast them. They give us stuff for recipes. Other than that, they don't have a lot of use. But what do we think about the original fish? How did it make us feel when we first...
It's like I believe there's around 3 or 4 color variations, but they're kind of basic.
Yeah.
They're not very round.
We do like a round friend.
There is the blue one, which is quite nice, but generally overall, I think I would probably rank this guy pretty low.
Yeah.
Because he's just not given friend-shaped. I think C or D, not an F, because I mean,
yeah,
he's not menacing.
He's not gross. I agree, kind of C or D.
Maybe a high D, a low C at
Yeah,
the end of the day.
let's put him at a high D. But then later in Genshin, they did introduce our fishing mechanic, and we started to get a lot of cool fish. The first family we're going to look at is the Madoka family. They're cool. I like them, especially in their large variants. What is your feeling on these fish?
Madoka, they definitely have a really good color variety, and they do have the roundness factor.
They do have the roundness factor.
They're round in a kind of... They're cute in a very, like, small way. Like, they're friendly. Like, you'd sit there, it's like, yeah, I would chill if there were, like, a bunch of these little guys with in a lake. But it's not like,
yeah,
this is the most extravagant, incredible, perfect, phenomenal, one-of-a-kind, never-seen-before thing ever.
That's kind of how I feel. They're not bad. They're not great. I feel like they sit in B tier.
Yeah. They're like the perfect mid-ground between like not friend-shaped and friend-shaped. Like they're just enough to get on the cusp of it, but they don't quite hit the mark compared to some of the other little guys we've got here.
Let's look at the pufferfish.
Oh.
Now, you just made a sound, which makes me think you have feelings about the pufferfish. What?
I think the pufferfish is like, it's confusing. It's a confusing one because by all means, it's friend-shaped. By the innate design of it, it is round.
Yeah.
It is chunky. It has the big, innocent eyes. But it's about the colors on this one.
Yes, I agree. Give me a blue pufferfish and I'd be stoked.
Give me a blue one. Give me, like, a light orange one. Because we have this nice olivey, mossy green, and then we have this brown and muddy, and it's like, those are very inviting colors.
Yes.
So I think if we get more variations in the future, it would go higher.
Yeah.
But I definitely think it's going in, like, a low B.
A low B?
Like, I think it takes that much away.
Yeah, the colors of the Madoka overcome the friend-shapedness of the pufferfish.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Our next fish is the koi fish. I personally think visually the koi fish is the best one.
Oh yeah.
That's where I sit. I wish there were more color variations, but like, this thing's rad.
I think the koi fish, with the colors that it does have, the gray and orange and the gray and teal, has what the pufferfish doesn't, where it has those milder colors and then it has those bright flashes.
Yes.
And they're very fun colors too. They aren't too hard on the eyes. And they have that little face. They have that little face with those little cute
smile.
eyes.
The little smile
they
do.
They look so happy. It looks like they have butterfly wings, like they're little like butterfly dragons in the sea.
I never connected that. I never realized it was like a butterfly wing shape.
Plus, they're noodly. They're long. They have everything fun
We like long boys.
jam-packed into them. So they aren't a round friend shaped, but they are a long friend shaped, and I definitely think that puts them in A or even S.
So
I would argue even S.
I think they're our first S tier creature. All right. So our next fish, this is the Shido Kodai, or the angelfish.
Mm-hmm.
And this also had the moonfin in it, which the moonfin didn't feel special enough to have its own thing. Because it was still just a pure color variation. But this, color-wise, is one of my favorite fish.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think it does what we've talked about. It has both the bright fish of the koi, but it also has the muted fish of the pufferfish.
Yeah, it has both colors of the pufferfish, and then it goes into pastels, it goes into the brighter colors with the Inazuma variant.
Yeah, it has that purple electro variant.
It has the same thing as the koi, where it has that little itty bitty face.
Yeah.
And it's just a pancake.
Well, and it has the droopy eyes that it's like kind of depressed, and I connect with that.
It's one of those ones that is friend-shaped, but you also like it in a pity kind of way, because it just looks so sad.
Yes.
Like, it just looks like it wants company. It wants you to be its friend.
I'll bring you to the teapot because you're sad. You can hang out with the other fish.
I want to put this in S. I don't want to put it above the koi fish. I want it to be like a low S.
I agree. All right. The beta. The beta?
Sorry.
You're sorry?
It's too spiky.
It's too spiky?
Like, I love it. I love its nose. It's not friend-shaped.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I think color-wise, this has the best color variations. But it's not friend-shaped. This thing will hurt you if you pick it up.
I think it has to be like a D or an F.
So...
Like, I just have to cross the line.
The color variations, I feel like, push it over an F. Is this your override to F of every creature?
I have one that I absolutely loathe.
Okay. Then this guy, I think they're sitting low D tier. I don't think they're hard. The color variations alone save them from F. The rays that you can catch. I feel like this is our first above S tier.
I think so too. The only problem is the lack of color variation. And the yellow has kind of a muddier color to it.
Yeah.
Like, they tried to go with like a cute yellow. If they just stuck with the pastel things, I would think it would have gone better. But in terms of sheer shape alone,
yeah,
it's pancake, it's noodle, it's round, it's got the smile, it's got the eyes, it's got the nubby little antennas.
There is nothing wrong with the shape of this creature.
It is a perfectly shaped being.
Yeah, it's
gods
perfect.
worship this. The gods worship this little guy.
Do we feel its shape pushes it above S tier, or is it just our best S tier so far?
I'd say if it had more color variation, it would be SS tier. But I think it's our highest S tier because of the lack of color variety we have.
That's how I feel about it. The giant one that just floats around. You can't
SS.
touch it. You can't
SS.
catch it. This is
SS.
SS?
It's SS. The colors are perfect. It looks friend-shaped. You can sit there and glide around Enkanomiya next to these little guys. I would fight for a triple S, but there's one flaw with it.
I think
You cannot ride them.
that's where
You
I'm
cannot
coming
ride
from.
them.
If you could ride these, if you could like stand on them and they would take you to different parts of Enkanomiya, this would be a triple S tier.
Yes, it is
creature.
so close to being perfect.
Like,
But you just can't even stand on them. I'm fairly certain you literally just go through them
yeah,
now.
you just like it glitches you around them or you fall through them. It's a bummer. It's a bummer. And that it was so much of a bummer. I remember trying it the first time and going,
Yep.
oh,
Like,
I'm sad now about this.
physically upset that I could not ride these.
Yeah, that's the only thing that keeps them from triple S tier. But they are, friend shape wise, they're perfect. They're just a bad friend that won't let us ride them. So
they're a toxic friend.
let's get into birds. We'll start with the duck. I don't know how I feel about the duck. It feels mid.
It's boring. Like, it has the same effect as a real world duck where it's round. But when you sit there and you think of it and you stare at it compared to a lot of the other mobs in the game, it's just a duck.
Well, and I'll tell you, like, in real world, I love ducks because I can feed them.
Oh yeah,
but
100%.
Like, there's like that one quest where you can feed the ducks, but like not really.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I could constantly feed the ducks. If that was a thing, like I could sit down and like toss bread to them or something, I'd be more excited about them.
They also they completely are too sensitive. You get within like 10 feet of them, they're flying to the other side of a lake.
True.
They do not want to be around you.
True.
So I think that also takes some points away. I'd say it's a low B.
A low B? Would we even put it in C?
I can argue a C.
I can argue a C.
I can argue a C.
Let's have ducks be our first C.
Let's have ducks. Yeah, the ducks are a C, definitely.
Okay. Our next bird, the hawks. I got beef with the hawks.
I'm F overriding them.
You're F overriding them? Cool.
But I will discuss why.
I'll let you do it because I'm willing to throw them down there as well. It's too hard to get them in your freaking journal. It's too hard to kill them.
It's too hard to catch them. It's too hard to kill them. It is so hard to see them. You can't even properly witness them for what they are. So their designs aren't really that easy to like convey.
Yep.
They're spiky. They look like they'd peck your eyes out. Least friend-shaped thing on the list.
There's nothing friend-shaped about these guys. There's nothing friend-shaped about them. I will accept your F tier override for the hawks. Our next bird is a much more likable bird. Let's talk about the cranes. The cranes, I remember when the teapot first came out, the crane was the animal you hunted down. Like, you went to other people's teapot to see if they had a crane, and then you had to convince them to let you buy their crane instead of them just buying it themselves. And with the ubiquity nets and being able to get the other color variation in Inazuma,
yep,
I feel like these guys are at least S tier. They're noodly and bubbly, and their colors are great in both variations. How do you feel?
I agree with S. However, because they are so quick to fly away, they are going to go in low S, I think.
Low S. So under all the fish.
Yes, because they don't have that much color variation, which is fine. They're cranes. They're beautiful as is. But you don't really get to admire that unless they're in your teapot. Because when you're going around in the overworld, it's like you want to sit there, you want to enjoy the scenery, you want to enjoy the nice crane in the scenery. You can't really do that because if you get too close, they'll just fly away.
I think that's a good spot. Low S, because getting close to them is difficult. Now, this next one, I'm very, very interested to hear your thoughts on this next one, knowing all the work you've put into your C6 Sara. What do you feel about the crows? What is your opinion on crows in general? Just
crows, like real life, in game.
Both. Give me all your crow information right now.
I have had very positive experiences with crows in real life.
Interesting.
Crows are very intelligent creatures. If you are kind to them, they will die for you. I will say that. In game, crows are one of the animals that you can get super close to before they start running away. Like if you're going down the stairs to Narukami Shrine, there is a crow on the stairs and you can get pretty close to it. It doesn't care. It's like, dude, I've been around people long enough. You're a homie. We're chilling. So it's kind of got that goofy look to it. And it's also got that kind of roundness going on. I think it's an A.
I think A tier is what's the word? Appropriate. You have pigeons. Now, the thing about the pigeons is I think they've become a meme with Timmy's pigeons, specifically. But I do think that they are one of the few creatures that you see just about everywhere in the game in different variations. And they do make the game feel a little more alive. So I feel like they're a notch above a lot of the other birds because they feel so present. But what do you think?
Okay, we have to give bonus points because it does have the heart chest shape, like shown in the image for the Tiermaker. It does have that heart chest shape.
You're right. They all do.
Is that
Every
good
variation does.
Purely because of all the variation and how frequent they show up, I think they are above the crows, but still an A tier.
Above the crows, but an A tier. I agree. This is our final bird, the finches. Now, the thing about the finches is, one, they have a lot of variation. Two, there's a lot of them. But I think if we're talking friend-shaped, this is one of the most friend-shaped creatures we've had on the list so far. Man, the finch might actually, in my head, be the double S tier bird.
No, I can see it. I can completely see it.
Like, I would argue for double S tier being the finch of the birds.
But here's the thing, though. Does the inability to ride the Enconomia manta put the finch above it? That is the important question.
So, I'm gonna say yes, and here's why. When you see the size of the manta, there was an expectation of being right. There was an expectation, and it made it so disappointing. You see the finch, and there's no expectations on this finch. Like, the finch did not disappoint us in the way the large manta did. And I think that puts the finch above the manta for me.
Yeah, I completely agree. This, our highest ranking friend currently, just a little dude. Yep. A very friend-shaped little guy. Completely agree.
All right, so now we're to land creatures. Let's start with the humble squirrel. There are no variations of the squirrel. The squirrel just exists. So what do you think of the squirrel? Where do you put the squirrel?
Again, it's a squirrel. I am biased towards the warmer colors. I really like the yellow and then the reddish browns.
Yeah.
It also has the black beady eyes going for it. It has the very big black beady eyes.
Yeah, I think they capture the friend shape of a natural squirrel, of a real squirrel, because in real life, squirrels are friend shaped.
Squirrels are 100% friend shaped. I would say A if you're not willing to go A, B. But I think that this is an A.
I think it's a low A. I think it's a low A, which is surprising because in real life I prefer squirrels to birds, but I think in the Genshin universe, the pigeons and the crows have more of a existence to them than the squirrels. We're gonna look at cats. Now, cats have the largest variation of any creature in Genshin. I like cats. I wish they interacted more.
I wish there were more places where you could feed them. Like, when you think about the dogs, you can feed them in Inazuma, you can feed them in Liyue.
Yeah.
Whereas with the cats, they just kind of sit there. They sit there, they don't really do anything. I don't really like the way their necks work. Like their necks and their lower jaws in some of their animations look very concerning to me.
Yeah, no, that's
So
a real point.
that takes away from the friend shapes a little bit. I think it's a C.
You think it's a C? I think it's the
All right.
highest C tier at the moment, but I get what you're saying. Okay, so on the flip side of cats, dogs. Dogs I have the same feelings about as I have with cats. They've made some improvements to them. They did add being able to feed them. I think the dogs are slightly better than cats. If we put the dog or the cats at the top of the C tier, I feel like the dogs are at the bottom of the B tier.
Yeah.
But would you argue for any different position?
I think it's B tier. They do have the bonus of not having a really weird lower jaw neck issue the cats have.
Yeah, they're animated to be very friend-shaped.
And they also feel just a lot fluffier than the cats overall. But if Hoyoverse ever gives us more potential to interact with cats or dogs, I feel like they would both easily shoot up to like a mid-A.
Yes,
mid-A, low
if
A.
we were able to pet them, like even if that's all it was, if there was just a pet mechanic and like they moved their head while we were petting them, sold. Okay, our next is the boar.
All right.
Now we have the regular boar and the snow boar. I feel the same way about the boar that I did the crane. Like in the early teapot days, it was all about getting boars.
I was a boar person. I was a boar enjoyer. I have 8.
They're nice and round. The one thing that I think stops them from being quote unquote friend shaped is that they attack you. But also I kind of like that because they're one of the most interactive creatures in the game in that
Plus
regard.
they have one very, very important key factor.
What is that?
They have baby variations.
You're right, the baby boars, I forgot.
They have the little baby boars that don't have tusks, that are just sitting there waddling around with their parents.
You're right. Oh man, the baby boars rule. Man, so I feel like boar is a high S.
I feel like,
or a mid S. A mid S.
I wouldn't put it above the koi, just because of the adult form, but because of the baby form, it jumps it straight up from like an initial A all the way to mid S for me.
Yeah.
Like the baby boar is just that critical.
Literally of the S tiers we have right now, I think it is the mid S tier. The Great Snowboard King. I argue the Great Snowboard King is our first triple S tier. And there's a couple reasons.
Give me your reasons and I will explain whether or not I agree.
So I think the color palette of the snowboards is very attractive, very friend shaped. He has the natural shape that boars do, which makes him friend shaped, the big round, the stubby legs. He is the most interactive creature of every single creature on this list. Maybe except for the Bake Danuki.
I agree with all of your points. They are incredible. They are perfect. I also think one other thing that Boar King has going for him, he is the only secret boss in the game, as far as I'm aware, that you can fight multiple times.
You're right. So, do we have any qualms? Okay.
Triple S. Triple S.
Triple S. Cool. Original foxes. So there's the Crimson Fox and the Snail Fox. These are some of my favorite creatures in the game. Like friend shape wise, they're cute to a T.
Like they are perfect in a sense of being adorable. You can't get close to them with a regular team.
True.
And the way they run makes them very hard to hit unless you can chase after them quickly enough.
True.
They do have that perk on the Dragon Spine border. There is a regular fox and a snow fox together.
The foxes
cute.
that are in love. Yeah, they're fantastic. They feel like another mid S tier to me.
I'd say below the boar, but the one that really does it, like, the regular fox is cute. The snow fox is cuter. The snow fox is what pushes me.
The snow fox, yeah. That's how I feel. I feel like the snow fox, the first time I saw one of those, I was all like, this is the pet that I want. Let's do the weasels next. The weasels, there's a lot of variations from them. I wish I could walk up to him. That's
Yeah.
like, and I get that that's the whole mechanic of them, is that you have to chase them down, you get the money.
I think that, like, the treasure weasels are really prominent.
Yeah.
The regular weasels don't feel like they impact the game. I don't think that there's enough of them.
Yeah. Like, even as you're saying it, I didn't realize there was a regular weasel that was not a treasure weasel. I lumped them, for the sake of this list, I put them all together. But it's like the fact that we have to think about it, I think proves your point that they're not prominent in the game.
Like, they're not prominent, and then the mechanic of having to go investigating the dig spot and then chasing them down and hitting them, it's kind
they're
of more of a
friend-shaped, but they don't want to
nuisance.
be your friend.
Yeah, they're friend-shaped, but they're also just kind of annoying.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that puts, for me, that honestly, because the lack of significance in the catchable version, I want to argue C tier.
I want to argue it. I think there will be people in the comments who want to argue it. Okay, Kitsune, the Foxes of Inazuma. This animal solves a lot of the problems we've talked about with the others in terms of you can walk right up to them.
Yep.
You can stand next to these guys. I wish you could pet them still. But also, they don't feel as friend-shaped as the Crimson or the Snow Fox.
Yeah.
Like, in just a pure design point.
Like, they do get rid of a lot of the problems, but they aren't friend-shaped.
Yeah.
Like, they aren't absolutely heinous like the hawk.
Yeah.
But they have a much more spiky, kind of sharp and sleek feel to them.
Yeah.
That, while you can like walk right next to them, it just kind of takes away.
I think low C tier.
Yeah.
If you're thinking high D, low C, it's not as uninviting as what we have in D tier.
Yeah. Like, it's not, but it's not as appealing as like some of our higher C's getting into B's.
The Bake Danuki. I feel like there's very little discussion to be had here, but also I already used my triple S override for the Boar King.
I thought we just agree. We agree on the triple S. What do you mean?
Oh, do we agree on that? So I have an override?
You can use that override all you
override, triple S, Bake
In fact,
Danuki.
I even give you one better. I completely agree with the Bake Danuki.
Yeah, there is everything about this creature is perfect, especially the color variation that we get to take on the quest.
The color variation, the quests we had, the event.
Yeah, the event.
The event was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And you don't get to interact with them in a way where you get to like press your interact key, but the fact you can go around and play hide and seek with them in the open world in Inazuma, massive selling point.
Well, and also they reappear. They reappear.
Yes.
It's not like a once you find all of them, we don't see the Bake Danuki anymore. They reappear. They're super cute. They do their little dance.
They play music for you.
They play music for you. I would say this is higher than the Great. This is the best creature in Genshin, like from the land creatures.
It's cute. It's round. It's squishy. It interacts with you multiple times.
Yeah.
You can take pictures with it. There were multiple like events and quests related to it. Literally just phenomenal character design.
So now we're to critters. We're to like
little
the
guys.
the little
the
guys.
Idiotest.
I think I want to start with frogs.
There aren't enough of them in the game.
That's their biggest downside, is there aren't enough. I think they're cute. I think they're friend-shaped. I like the color variations. There aren't enough of them. I feel like they're high A tier, maybe low S tier.
Oh, I
maybe
think
even
high
higher.
A tier. High A tier, it would be higher, but there just aren't enough of them.
But there aren't enough of them. That's their biggest drawback.
It's like, they're cute. They have the great hopping animation. They aren't too fast, so you can follow them for a while. The pigeon is fighting you right now.
Yeah, I was like, pigeon? I know you like your spot, and I know Timmy tells you you're special.
But now is not the time. But it's just like, we don't get enough of them, and they're only used as like an ingredient for potions.
Crabs. I feel the same way I feel about the frogs in terms of I wish there were more of them because they're always only on beaches. But they're snippy. They're crabs.
Yeah. In that case, the big takeaway again is, pincers, and also we don't see enough. Because I remember specifically in Mondstadt, the best place to farm them was the Nameless Island.
Yeah, which was a pain to get to until they gave us
the waypoint.
The waypoint. I remember putting my waypoint there so I could finish some recipes.
I honestly think that should take points off.
D tier.
D tier? No.
With the spiky boys.
With the spiky boys. Not like super low D tier, like a middle D tier works, yeah.
Yeah, like in the concept of are they friend-shaped, there's very little things about them that make them friend-shaped, other than their color palette.
The only thing that puts them ahead of the snootfish for me is crabs can scuttle.
Oh yeah,
Fish
they do.
Cannot.
They do have the cute little scuttle.
They have the scuttle, and that is very important to me.
Lizards.
We don't see enough of them.
Same. I agree.
Like
I feel like that's an issue with a lot of these small creatures.
Yeah, because they're mostly just there for ingredient collection, so you don't really get to notice them as much.
Yep.
I think it's a high B though. I really like the lizard, and their
color variations make them all look cool.
But there's one very like unintended detail when you're gliding and they spawn from the sky.
I've never seen that.
If you are gliding, specifically in Liyue, there is a chance that a lizard will descend from the heavens right next to you.
Wow.
It is my favorite thing in the game. It is probably like the least intentional thing. It's a jump scare, but it's
I've
so
never
good.
seen it happen. I would love to see film of that. I'd even put these up to a higher A tier than the squirrel.
Ooh, I could see that, definitely.
So do you think they're higher than squirrels but lower than crows? Do we agree on that placement?
Yeah, I think I can agree on that.
The unagi, the eels. They are friend-shaped AF. They've got a lot of downsides.
They do.
Can't
However,
get close to them to see that. But like we talked about with the finches, you can go in the archive and see it.
Yep. They've got I think they have a smaller handful compared to some of the other collectibles for color variation.
They only have 3.
They have 3.
It's like a blue, a red, and a green.
The unagi are very similar to the koi in base silhouette, where you have the small face, the butterfly fins on the side of the heads. The noise they make when they hide from you, when they just suck themselves under the sand.
That's true.
That is a fantastic noise, and I feel like they deserve points for that. I think they're a mid-A tier. I would put these above the crows.
Above the crows? Would you put them above the pigeons?
I could, if you would accept. If
I'll
you
accept
can agree
above
with me,
the pigeons.
Like they are so much cuter than the crows and the pigeons.
I feel like they are tied with frogs.
I feel like yes, I can.
I feel like everything we applied to the frog applies exactly to the unagi. Our next one, the loaches.
There aren't enough of them.
There aren't enough of them.
It's very hard to see them because the place they spawn most frequently is Dihua Marsh.
Yep.
So there's all the tall reeds and everything. They blend into like the reeds. They don't even give a drop that looks like them.
Yeah.
They drop pearls. They drop lounge pearls.
Yeah, the loach, while design-wise it is the cutest of, I think, most of the critters. Like, axolotls are adorable.
It is almost, there's one that bests it.
But
by a landslide.
Yeah, but every problem we have with like, oh, there's not enough of or there's not enough color variation. Like any of those critters that we like named a problem with, I feel like the loach takes that problem to the extreme.
It has literally every single issue. And
has
just
every
runs with
issue
it.
in the worst way possible.
Yep.
I feel like it's low B tier. Because its looks alone put it above everything we have in C tier.
Yeah. The only thing saving it though is its looks. I can agree on like below the dogs.
Crystal flies. just all the variations. Here's the thing about crystal flies is we know we're going to get more variation.
Mm-hmm.
We will at some point have all the colors of the and I think they get bonus points for that expectation. Actually, the more I think about this, I was initially going to say I don't like the crystal flies. I feel like the crystal flies are one of the most magical pieces of the world, the more I think about it. They glow, they sparkle, they drop a valuable mat, and they are friend-shaped.
Yeah, they're pretty solid. The one issue, they don't have a face.
True.
They are an elemental entity rather than a living entity.
True.
I think it's another A.
Another A?
I will not go any lower than a high B. I think it is a solid A.
I could push to a low S.
I can see it.
I see them just as magical as the cranes.
Yeah, this one, it's mainly based off of the aesthetics. I would put this like tied or like even above cranes, to be honest. Just because of the fact we're going to have so many variations.
I put them above cranes. The special crystal fly, the coral fly. I like it more.
Yeah.
I like it more than the regular crystal flies because I think the color design is so pretty.
This one has a lot more color variation. It has cat ears on its little core.
Yep.
It's also much rounder. Its roundness kind of rivals that of the Automo crystal fly specifically.
Yep.
I would tie this with the boar.
Yeah, let's tie it with the boar. Let's tie it with the boar. Final creature.
I think I know where we're putting this already.
The Lucklight fly. Chonkers, as it would be. That's what I call those, is the chonker flies. This is one of the most unique designs we have gotten.
Yep.
I think it sits triple S tier, double S tier purely on design.
100%.
I feel like it earns triple S because like it didn't disappoint us the way the Manta Ray did. The Manta Ray is only not triple S because it disappointed us.
Yeah.
Finches are a double S, but there's like no expectations on them. I feel like the only expectation on this thing was that we could catch it and put it in our teapot.
That was all we wanted, 100%.
I wish it had some kind of more interactability that would put it higher in the triple S's. But I think pure design, it can sit in triple S. That's my opinion.
This will not push it past. This will not push it past Snowboar, the Boar King.
Okay.
However, there is a shadowy husk in the chasm that hangs out with a Lucklight fly.
Oh.
And just sits there and watches it. He has a little friend.
So I think that cements it to triple S for me.
Yes, it cements it. Like, it will hang out. It will hang out with anyone. It does not discriminate. It's like, I don't care if you're a shadowy husk, if you're Hilitril, if you're the Traveler. I'm gonna sit here with my glowing butt, and I'm gonna be friend-shaped and chunky.
It's interesting. Our triple S tier is all special creatures. Nothing with any kind of variation. I mean, I guess Bake Danuki had variation, but
has it.
He's still special.
The Bake and Danuki we usually run across in the overworld is usually like the same.
Yeah.
You mostly run across the darker variant instead of the lighter variant, if you do run across any variation.
But yeah, that's the tier list.
Are there any adjustments we are thinking of?
Any adjustments we are thinking of? I like where everything's at.
Yeah.
I like where everything's at.
I honestly think, looking at the fish compared to the crabs, though, in D tier, I think we could put the crab above the generic fish.
Yeah.
I think we could do that.
Yeah.
But I think everything else kind of lines up.
Yeah, I think what saves the crab is the scuttle.
Yeah.
The scuttle, the cute scuttle.
Like it just kind of shimmies across, and you can't really contest that when you're a fish.
Yeah. Man, so there were no overrides. There were no overrides in this tier list.
Every single time we tried to override something,
We were
it
just
was
in
the same
agreeance.
wavelength.
We were just in agreement. Well, this is it. This is the friend-shaped Genshin wildlife tier list. Let us know what you think. Where did we mess up? Where did we get it right? Down in the comments. Once again, Morgan, thank you so much for being on. Their links are down in the description if you want to go check out any of their other content. I know they have a YouTube and a TikTok presence, and they make phenomenal content. So definitely go give them a watch, give them a follow. And other than that, Morgan, do you have any last words for us?
Subscribe to Blitzer Mario on Twitch and on YouTube.
Thanks. I need that endorsement. But thank you all so much for watching. And we'll see you next time. If you like this content, like and subscribe. We do put out gaming content weekly, both tier lists and other shorter videos. But as always, much love. Have a wonderful rest of your day.